2 months before his own assassination, on the night Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed, Senator Robert F. Kennedy was campaigning for president in Indiana when he offered words of sorrow, unity, and calm to a devastated crowd. He quoted the Greek playwright Aeschylus, saying, quote, "Even in our sleep, pain which cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart, until in our own despair, against our will, comes wisdom through the awful grace of God." As the nation struggles to make sense of the senseless tragedy in Uvalde, Texas, calls for action resound from the grief-stricken to the political class to ordinary Americans shocked by the horror. Unfortunately, most are missing the simple power of the line that Kennedy chose at another dark moment in our history. Too many Americans are neither seeking wisdom these days nor God's grace in their lives today. And the only way to address the societal decay that is devouring lives all around us is to realize that this is an era of spiritual degradation that impacts our hearts, our minds, and our actions. Wisdom would lead us to acknowledge that mental and emotional health must be a priority for our nation and our nation's parents and grandparents and teachers. That social media, the internet, and screen time are exacerbating the problem. Wisdom would lead us to acknowledge that allowing qualified teachers to carry concealed weapons should be considered more broadly, that armed plainclothes officers in schools are necessary and affordable. Wisdom would tell us that engaged two-parent families are necessary to help ensure the emotional growth, health, and stability of our children. Wisdom is diminished by information management and dependency that are becoming the hallmarks of our society. A mass shooting is the extreme manifestation of the behavior like vandalism, looting, hateful social media posts, malicious bullying, and expressions of uncontrollable rage in supermarkets or airports, all of which have become often excused, dismissed, and even celebrated societal behavior. Life has become cheaper and disposable. According to the Pew Research Center, in 2020, 54% of all gun deaths in the United States were suicides. Wisdom would mean lawmakers acknowledging the hard truth that legislating away evil has never worked. That's wisdom drawn from data and experience. This crime wasn't about theft or money. This was a crime committed by a tortured soul. Produce fewer evil people and you will get fewer evil actions. That's wisdom. And that brings us to the grace of God. We often ask ourselves during these gut-wrenching moments where God is amidst the carnage. Well, he is still with us, but too many in this country have pushed him away. The left in American politics, academia, media, and now big tech have spent decades secularizing society. The results of moral relativism and suppression of the biblical worldview can be seen in everything, from basic behavioral changes to abortion to the multi-gender craze. Belief in God and appreciating that he gives us purpose in this life leads to greater individual power, a more optimistic outlook, and a happier existence. Studies from multiple sources have confirmed that the actively religious have stronger families, morals, self-worth, and self-control. They value life and the lives of others. Faith also provides a connection, not just to God, but to communities, and that prevents the kind of isolation that leads to the despair and depression that is reaching epidemic proportions in our nation, claiming lives every day as well. The left has demonstrated that they will fight efforts to reconnect people with God and morality with greater fervor than they will even fight to ban the AR-15. They know that faith in God is what undergirded the people that built the strongest, freest nation on earth. Faithful people will keep it that way by their very nature. Faith and wisdom, not government and politics, will elevate the nation and strengthen the souls of those who otherwise might turn to drugs, pornography, self-mutilation, crime, and violence. God gives us the ability to learn, to analyze, to grow through his grace. What we saw in Texas can't be combated with a corporeal solution. We've abdicated so much of ourselves to technology and government that we've taken steps backward in our evolution. We were created in the image of God, and it's up to individuals to harness that wisdom to help heal the afflictions of the soul.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.